Hey guys, so a couple days ago, I finally went and saw the new Steven Spielberg movie, The Post. This is a few days late, me doing this review. I kind of just forgot to do it. My review for this. I actually saw a movie earlier today, too, and I was like, oh shit, I never did a review for The Post. I was sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, I never did a review for The Post. Well, I better go do that as soon as I fucking get home. Um, yeah, sorry about this being a few days late, but this was a movie I was generally looking forward to, uh, just because of the people attached to it. It's fucking a new Spielberg movie, which anytime Steven Spielberg's making the new movie, gotta fucking check it out. Say what you will about the guy. He's probably one of the most influential directors of this era. He continuously is, and he makes some damn good movies. Like I always said, some of his best movies are the historical dramas that he makes, or the war movies that he makes. Are probably his best movies. Bridge of Spies was fucking great. The last historical drama he did, I thought was fucking great. So I was like, in this movie had fucking Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep. Those are two goddamn big powerhouse name actors if I've ever seen one, or seen a pair of them. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, this looks like a movie right up my alley. Like, and it's a movie that's pretty relevant to today's political culture and media culture that we live in. That because we are kind of facing a lot of the same problems that happened in the 70s happening now somewhat, but I was like, yeah, this looks like it could be an interesting movie. And yeah, this is a damn good movie. Really damn good movie. I highly recommend it. It's really is relevant to what's going on in today's culture with our president and his incessant bashing of the media and trying to discredit the media as much as he can. It's like deja vu all over again watching this fucking movie and the events that unfolded, like with the Nixon administration and the Washington Post. Holy shit. It's like, yeah, a lot of this shit happening in the 70s is happening now still. But yeah, I'll get into that in a second. This is a movie that's mainly a performance-based movie. Meryl Streep, I don't know what to say about Meryl Streep that hasn't been said already, but as far as her as an actress. She carries this fucking movie. Her character was probably the most interesting, honestly, out of everybody, because, not just because it was Meryl Streep, that helped, but her character, I didn't know much about the person that she was playing, and they give you a good enough story of where she's coming from at the beginning of this movie, where the dilemma that she's facing, because she is the editor of the Washington Post, or the owner of the Washington Post, that basically was handed it down to her after first her dad died, who owned the Washington Post, and when he died, he, instead of giving it to her, gave it to her husband, and then her husband died, and now she has it. And basically, because this is the 70s, nobody believes a woman could fucking run the Washington Post, and that they're all in trouble. And right around this fucking time, unfortunately, she also comes across the Pentagon Papers. Tom Hanks comes across the Pentagon Papers and wants to publish them. And, of course, that's kind of conflicting with what because she's right at this point making the Washington Post a publicly traded company, going into the U.S. stock exchange, and obviously she has to deal with shareholders, and she's worried that if she actually posts this, or prints this news story, she might lose a lot of her shareholders. People will back out. She has a lot to risk with doing something like this, and it was the most interesting story out of anybody in this movie. Was that she had a lot to fucking risk doing it, and even though she had to decide whether she should go the easy route and just not publish it, or do her duty as a reporter, as a newspaper, and report the news and not be afraid of the consequences. Because Nixon was basically wanting to fucking control the media. That sounds like some president I know. And everything they say about him, and was not very happy anytime somebody criticized him. Sounds like somebody I know too. President I know too. I don't know where I've heard that one before. But it's a good movie. It's a very good movie. Like I said, her performance is probably the best out of it, and I'm not shocked she got an Oscar nomination. It's Meryl Streep. She always gets a fucking Oscar nomination almost. Just never wins it, which is fucking weird. Tom Hanks is great, of course. I mean, a lot of people were upset he got shafted at the Oscars. Whatever. I could go into about the Oscars, but whatever. He's a guy who he's like it was fun seeing him trying to compete. At first, him and the New York Times are competing. He's trying to compete with the New York Times and trying to get the story leaked first before they do. And it's only until the New York Times gets kind of in trouble that they decide to pounce on the opportunity to get the Pentagon Papers, even though they get in trouble for what they're going to do. Even though pretty much there's an injunction that says they cannot publish shit like this in the newspapers, even though that's against the law, that's against the freedom of press and everything else like that. It's like I said, I like that. Also, Bob Odenkirk's great. Damn great performance by Bob Odenkirk, who's the guy who was trying to find the informant that give him the information about the Pentagon Papers. I thought that was he was damn good in this. Man, what the hell else I want to talk about? Because this is a damn good movie. Check it out. It's a movie, like I said, it's pretty goddamn relevant to today's culture and the culture we live in, and especially the political culture we live in. I mean, I don't want to get all political, but the similarities between what's going on now and what was going on then is just unbelievable. I do believe that, to be fair, that the media is not like it used to be. They have all nowadays more agendas, like political agendas, than they did back in the day. Back in the day, they actually reported the news instead of just giving their opinions like they do nowadays. And I wish they would go back to doing what they used to do. Like, this was the media in the good old days. This is like up there with like Spotlight, like showing how media should be, and holding people responsible to have higher power than us, and putting them in check, and when they do something wrong. That's the purpose of the media, and it's like I said, it's like this movie's so goddamn eerily similar to what's going on nowadays. Like I said, I agree, the media is not like it used to be. They more often than not just love to report their opinions and put their opinions in their news stories and not just report fucking facts. And they just love to jump the gun quick without actually checking the facts. That happens a lot too nowadays. I'm not saying the media is, innocent, but also our fucking president is just a... But anyways, I'm not going to get into that. What else? Oh, one thing I did thought was weird about this movie that I kind of didn't like was the tacked on ending. I don't know if I'm the only one who thought this ending was very fucking tacked on, but by God was it tacked on. That's my opinion. The movie ends on a pretty solid note. I was like, all right, I was thinking, all right, it's about to cut to black, and then, end credits, and, it'll be, interesting, like, it ends on a pretty good note. And then, in the last 30 seconds or so, they show a police or a security guard at the Watergate Hotel just calling the police and reporting a robbery that was happening at the Watergate Hotel. And I'm like, is that really fucking necessary? I know that the Washington Post had something to do, was responsible in, exposing the Watergate scandal and everything else like that, but was that really fucking necessary? Because really, this movie is not about Watergate at the end of the day. It's a whole different... The Pentagon Papers was a whole different monstrosity compared to what Watergate was. I know it has both had to deal with Nixon and the corrupt things that he was doing, but still, I was like, that was not really necessary unless they're fucking sequel baiting us. Spielberg wanting to make a Watergate movie, which if he is, cool. But because usually when you get something like that, something like that at the end of the movie, they put like a epilogue explaining what happened after the events of this movie. Nope, they just cut to black and have Spielberg's name on it. I'm like, that was weird. Are they like I said? I was like, are they fucking sequel baiting us? Are they making a Watergate Spielberg making a Watergate movie, which would be interesting. I'm not against it, but it's like, unless you're not doing that, what the fuck was the point of that? I don't know if I was the only one who thought that. Also, I do want to say before I forget, one thing I liked about this movie was Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks both. They show a lot of their conflicts throughout this movie, and the fact that they were friends with a lot of the former presidents that aren't, have some really big allegations against them, because of these Pentagon Papers that are being thrown out, and this jeopardizes their friendship. They worry that, there's a... What am I trying to say? God damn, I'm tired. Sorry about that. It kind of shows that they have to decide whether they want to report the news. They have a time have trouble trying to figure out whether they want to report the news or do they want to just kind of just push it to the side because of being friends with these former presidents that are, all these big accusations against in the Pentagon Papers. And like I said, it's interesting. I like that. They were kind of showing that there's a little bit of conflict in that the media needs to watch, their friendships with the political figures because it can kind of interfere with what they're supposed to be doing at their job. I kind of like that. And the kind of them showing their Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep's kind of conflict in that, their personal relationships with the people involved in the Pentagon Papers and how they were affected by that. Like I said, I really like this movie. Really, I like this movie. I do. I thought it was a damn good movie. Highly recommend it. As far as trailers, what the hell did I get in front of this? I'm gonna look up. Mamma Mia, here we go again. Oh my god. Why the fuck are we getting a sequel to this? It's like the sequel to Strangers. That movie came out 10 years ago. Exactly like 10 years ago. And why the fuck are we getting... Was somebody really clamoring for a fucking sequel to Mamma Mia? I have never seen... I've seen bits of the first Mamma Mia. And from what I saw, it was complete and utter shit. And in this movie, they killed off Meryl Streep. And they're kind of like showing a prequel to Mamma Mia, a young Meryl Streep being played by, who's that girl? The girl who played Cinderella and everything else, in the recent Cinderella movie, playing the young Meryl Streep, and Amanda Seyfried's pregnant, and her mother's friends are telling the story of what her mother did, during her pregnancy or something. I don't know. I don't fucking care. But that's something I will not be seeing. That's as far as the post and trailers go. I got another review here to do in a couple of minutes, so I'll be back with that.